I'm delighted to say Tommy Walsh is with us. Tommy, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Ger. Good morning, lads.
Nothing quite so controversial, I think, in the world of GA. But then there's obviously the potential for the GPA and the GA route to get even bigger. You've been watching this, I presume, with an interested eye. What's your take on the row at the moment about expenses?
Yeah, Ger, I have been watching it and see both sides of the coin, really. First of all, to look at the two organisations, and I've had help from both from when I started hurling, like the GPA, first of all, they have been superb for, we'll say, the weaker counties, getting players from counties maybe that weren't looking after their players from the get-go. They're now being looked after very well, maybe up to this point. And players in the stronger counties, so much goes into the game now that your career nearly is put on hold. But the GPA have been brilliant to any player, whether they're from weaker counties or stronger counties, looking after them, that they might have to further their education or, go back into the educational system maybe at 25, 30, 35 years of age. No problem. Anytime you needed help with anything, really, as regards player welfare, GPA have been just absolutely brilliant. And it's a great peace of mind for any county player to have. And as I said, probably have helped the guys from the weaker counties more than probably anyone could ever believe. Then on the GA side of it, Ger, you have the same thing. Like I've been part of the GA since I was probably, straight out of the hospital, really. I've been brought to games, training sessions, every weekend, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, you name it. Like the GA and the GA people that run it, they've been incredible. And like I'd say it's the best run organisation, best amateur organisation in the whole world, like as a family, as a community. Like we only saw during lockdowns, nowhere to go, nowhere to look forward to the weekend, when everyone was in lockdown, whether you were playing, whether you had a family member playing or not. Everybody in the parish looks forward to the game on the Sunday. You can build your week around it, somewhere where to go. You don't have to lump the kids into the car and go off maybe shopping for the day, So both organisations have been incredible. So let's put it that way. Then, so the current situation then, it is a little bit complicated because there's the issue around, first of all, I suppose, getting paid the mileage allowance, whether it's 50 cent or 65 cent. I believe it's back up to the 65 cent now. So in most counties, I believe they are being paid. So I think some of the weaker counties, they're not. But why are they not getting paid, is it the county board, I think, pays them? So, do they just not have the money to pay them, or are they just not paying them? So that's probably a whole other issue. As far as just from looking at it over the last couple of days, as far as what I can see is the GA have agreed to, is it 4 sessions per week and pay back to the 65 cent a mile. That looks like a good deal for me. So the issue then is it's around the counties that are not paying them. But then you have to get behind that again. Why haven't they been paying them? They mightn't have the money. So I think it's just maybe common sense communication between all parties, or probably the parties that are affected, Ger, is probably the real solution to this problem.
And also players who aren't getting paid are essentially training more than 4 times a week. Is that a problem, in your opinion? The fact that they're training that amount of times, I should say.
Yeah, I know it has gone to new levels. It's not a bad idea. How it's been done, maybe, I'm not sure if it's the way to do it, but maybe send out a message that, we are better, I think, as being an amateur organisation, because the county player comes back around the clubs, the parishes, he does his jobs, he's around the training sessions. There's no, we'll say, jealousy, there's no, there's no egos really going around. There's nobody that works hard in the club, putting in hours upon hours, looking at the county player, maybe swanning in and saying, look at this guy, he's on 20 grand, 30 grand per year. If he's only getting his mileage, it's, that's what they deserve, for the amount. They are the elite players and they are bringing huge money into their organisation. So I think the amateur ethos is definitely crucial for me. And bring it back to the 4 times per week. If you go to 7 times per week, you nearly are professional then. I know they're nearly professional as it is on. So it's a complicated conversation. And it's hard to stop teams. And I know from playing yourself now, you're nearly putting in more now than you ever were, because you want to be the best. You want to be better than your opponents. So it's the 4 times per week is not a bad idea if they can just come to the table. I don't think anyone wants to fight over this. Just come to the table and because the GPA guys, they're clubmen and county men first and foremost as well. The guys running the GPA are the same. So I think it's just all come to the table, and maybe if it wasn't washed out in public as much, might be better for everyone,
For everybody, yeah. Obviously, a bit of frustration on the GPA side that they had to go that far. One last question, an obvious one. Would there have been years where you were training more or being at a training session or a match more than 4 times a week over the years?
No, we only train 3 times a week, and gym sessions then. We went to the gym till February, Ger. And then once the hurling stopped, that
was it.
You're just trying to stay fresh for the hurling. Well, it has changed now, so the lads are in the gym. I'd imagine they're back training. Like, the science has come into it. You've often have guys on this podcast and this radio program talking about the benefits of rest, the benefits of science. And I don't know, is anybody training collectively that much anymore? Like, I'd imagine 3 times nearly max will be the case. And then you go to the gym yourself. And if you choose to go collectively with your friends, maybe that's another idea. But I think, the less training, probably the better. 3 times a week, I think, is enough, because, like, at the end of the day, we live other lives. You have jobs and you have social lives. And I think, it's like, say when you're a professional, you're training 7 days a week. Suddenly you're going through a bad period or things aren't going well for you for 6 months. What else do you have going on in your life? Probably not great for mental health. Towards when you're only training 3 times a week, getting a gym session done yourself, then great, because you have other things going on in your life that there's a balance there.
Yeah, 100%. We should. I know you wanted to talk about the Camogie final, the All-Ireland Camogie final between Arrowhead and Sarsfields. It was a bit of a titanic game between 2 sides that really have been to the forefront in recent years. What specifically caught your eye in this one, Tommy?
Yeah, well, I think it's even the stories behind them, Ger. Like, Sarsfields came back, they lost the final in 17 and 18, came back against Slot Neil, they came back, who were a powerhouse themselves, that won 3 in a row. They came back then and won it. And, all the heartbreak, and some of them players would have experienced heartbreak with Galway. Back they came to Croke Park for the 3rd time. Like, you have 12 months of waiting around, 12 months of pain, and come back then and win it finally. I just thought at the time it was an amazing story. Then fast forward through the pandemic, looked like it wasn't going to be paid the Club All-Irelands. But I know from hearing stories around here, like the Camogie, they fought tooth and nail for the club championship to go ahead. And they really fought hard for it, and the Camogie organisation agreed to it. So they ended up playing the Club All-Ireland last December. It's a couple of days before Christmas. And heartbreak again for him, Oulart de Bala came on and beat him. Una Lacey got the hat-trick, one of the Keos, I think it was Stacey, was married the day before. Like, just the stories around it were incredible. So they took the Christmas off, I think 2 or 3 weeks off, as this in the hopper after it, and then back to the final again. Who are they playing? Only their nemesis again, Oulart, and victory then in the final. And, I thought there was great passages of play in the final. Teamwork, crossfield ball, like the crossfield ball into Siobhan McGrath for the opening goal that probably set the tone for the day in the first couple of minutes, was an amazing ball, a dream ball for a corner forward. She came out, took on her opponent and straight through it and straight into the back of the net. So I think the story behind that Sarsfields team is just incredible, and the Hopper McGrath, like, he was a hero for Galway back in the late 80s. I saw him in the 93 All-Ireland, came on then, he's put huge, his own Sarsfield team were a great club team themselves, up in Croke Park many a day during the 90s. So yeah, it was a great final, and even Oulart, Jared, the goal, I think if any forward line, whether they're on the hurlers or on the Camogie teams, if you're looking at the passage of play for Una Lacey's goal in the first half, Ursula J, and it's kind of the chemistry, it's kind of the what the great players, they just know what each other are doing. Ursula Jacob got the ball around 35 yards out, soloed in, and if you look at Una Lacey's movement for the goal, she kind of turned back in around the full back, took the ball on the run, on a diagonal run, and absolutely a bullet to the back of the net. So I thought it was a great advertisement for Camogie. Like, what Oulart, they won 2 Club All-Irelands before. Some of them girls were on the 3 in a row Wexford team back in the the mid-2000s. And just great careers, great story careers, and it's great to see him getting the publicity they're getting now. Like Una Lacey, she's and Mary, her sister, they've won 3 Club All-Irelands. Their mother won 5. Margaret O'Leary was her name. She won one with a club up in Dublin. It was looking it up. I think their name was Owen Rua, but came back and won 4 at Buffer's Alley. And Wexford to Camogie has been huge from day one, especially their club side. I think Brian Cody's wife could have been on that. I'm not sure. She's a Buffer's Alley woman. I know she was an unbelievable hurler. She could have been on that team and must look into it. But
right.
Yeah, Una Lacey, Mary Lister and Mutter.
Right, the genes are good and it seems to matter a bit, yeah.
It is. And like Una Lacey scored 2 goals in the 0-7 All-Ireland year when Wexford won for the first time in 0-7 that time with that team. And she 15 years later, 2022, 14 years later, at Christmas she scored a hat-trick when they won it. And just there a week or two ago, she scored 2 goals again, although they lost. But, how great has she been? Ursula Jacob, the same.
Yeah. No, it's some achievement. And it's great that rivalry has kind of come to the forefront and people are getting familiar with the characters, because that in turn is going to help make people tune in the next time that they're on telly as well, or ideally go to the match. I do want to just talk a little bit about the league, and because hurling sorted out its structures and we now have a brilliant championship in Munster and Leinster, the final few rounds of the league, it's hard for us to understand exactly what teams are trying to get out of them. Some teams put in shadow teams, and we saw with Cork last year against Limerick, it didn't really work out for them in the end. Other teams are using it to make sure there's competition for places. So I guess I'm really asking is, how much should we be reading into what happens over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think every team would have different priorities. Starting with this weekend, Ger, like the Galway and Clare game and the Cork and Wexford game, they're kind of dead rubbers. Like, they all know kind of what's happening in that group. I think Cork and Wexford, I think, are nearly through at this stage. I think the big one is the Kilkenny Waterford game. I think you can read everything into that game. I think that will be championship type teams. Liam Cahill, he has done so much to implement a character, a winning mentality, a toughness, a mean streak in that Waterford team, characteristics that's needed to win an All-Ireland. They have made huge progress, starting with the All-Ireland semi-final in 2020, 9 points down against Kilkenny. And they had 1 or 2 victories against Kilkenny over the previous few years, but usually it was a Kilkenny victory at the end, and 9 points down. You would never expect Kilkenny to lose, but they came back, because that's what Liam Cahill teams do. His under-21 2021 team with Tipperary, they scored a last-minute goal to win an under-21 All-Ireland. So he's been doing this all his teams have been doing this all throughout his coaching career. So he's going to try and he's not going to go up to Nolan Park on Sunday. There's huge interest here in Kilkenny, Ger. Massive interest. I'd say there could be 12,000, 15,000 people in it. We've been waiting for a big game in Nolan Park, for a long time. We all remember the Kilkenny Tipperary one in the championship a few years ago, where it was a sellout. Well, this as a league, spectacle, I'd say will be something similar, if relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Huge interest, because coming from Waterford as well, they had their biggest victory over Tipperary in nearly 50 years. But it's the Waterford team coming. They have stars and they have a panel. We've seen against Tipperary, the one without all the big guys, Ozzy, Callum Lyons, Jamie Barron, Desi. I presume they'll all be back Sunday, and we look forward to seeing them and see how our lads do up against them on Sunday, Ger.
Kind of feels like this is where it begins, Tommy. A week off, the weather's getting good, we're only a few weeks away from championship. This weekend is where we can start really looking at the proper form lines. Yeah,
you're right, Owen, say, especially in that game, because I think both teams will do everything they can to win it, to make a league semi-final. And huge interest from both crowds. We all saw Ballygunner's last gasp victory up in Croke Park in the All-Ireland final. And Desi Hutchison has been probably the name on everybody's lists since he came back from playing soccer abroad, and he has not let anybody down. He done it on the biggest stage of all, Club All-Ireland Day, couple of points down. He usually loves the ball out in front, uses his electric speed, probably the fastest player in the country at the moment, himself and Jack O'Connor, out in front over the bar every time. But was the goal he got in the Club All-Ireland on is what made me stand up. Caught the ball under, I'd say it was one of the Mullins, probably Darren, who is a fantastic player in Kilkenny club club circles here at the moment, caught the ball, and he didn't go to Dean Mason's strong side, spun it back around, which was more difficult to do at the time, back into the right-hand side of the net, and that probably changed the game and kept him in the game. So we're looking forward to seeing how our guy, Hugh Lawler, who went from strength to strength, probably an unknown player really from so many years, had a starring campaign with O'Loughlin's last year, has really turned it on with Kilkenny the last couple of years and has been nearly our player of the league. So we're looking to see how, hopefully if Desi is playing, Hugh will take him on in Nolan Park on Sunday.
What do you think is going to happen? Give us your prediction.
I think it's going to be tight. Kilkenny you're wondering what have they taken? Some teams taken out of the league campaign. They've found new players. So they've Cian Kenny, they've Niall Brazil, David Blanchfield, who plays the new game, which is bring the ball up and give it in a good ball into your forwards. David Blanchfield has done that with Bennettsbridge for many years. He scored 3 points the last day from wing back. He's been a fantastic find. So it's kind of new guys on the block for Kilkenny. Hopefully 1 or 2 of the Ballyhale that's back in against probably the new stars of the GA world, I suppose, in Waterford. And I'm not trying to build them up. I think it will be a Waterford victory on Sunday. I think it'll come all the form. I think the new players back in from that were missing the last, it will give them an extra incentive. So I think it will be tight, but I think it'll be a Waterford victory.
I heard you explaining the spine of the Kilkenny team with Joe a couple of weeks ago, and it did sound like you were getting excited, like there's genuine excitement amongst Kilkenny hurling people. Not that you're back, but that certainly there's no reason for this team to fear anybody at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's the case in the whole of the inter-county game at the moment. There's nobody really fears anybody at the moment with Limerick after losing the last couple of weeks. Now everybody's gander is up. Definitely the spine around it, and you see it's the new players then in around the spine. The Cian Kennys, the David Blanchfields, like Owen Cody's a year older, the Adrian Mullins a year older. So not alone have you the good spine up the middle, which is vital for any All-Ireland winning team. You now have the wingmen beside him. Fierce excitement in Kilkenny because we've seen him in the club scene. Like Cian Kenny is like a young Cian Lynch, if you ask me, Ger. So watch him, I think, get better and better as these years go on. Once the management, young players, they often need a management, an arm around the shoulder, because they're going to have good and bad days when you're starting off in your first year or two. But keep picking them, keep playing them, because the stars will come good eventually. So Cian Kenny is like a young Cian Lynch to me. So it's the spine of the team with the youngsters around them. And to win All Ireland's, Ger, you need forwards. And to be not afraid of anyone, you need forwards. We've Adrian Mullen, Owen Cody, TJ Reid, Parag is up there now. Billy Ryan is really having a fantastic lead, fierce speed, in the full forward line. And he's like his club mate Eddie Brennan. When he gets the ball, it's direct straight for a goal. So yeah, we're excited down in Kilkenny, and we're really excited for Sunday, Ger, to be honest.
Right, really looking forward to it now. Tommy, good stuff. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, lads. Best luck.
Enjoy
Bye.
the game. That's Tommy Walsh whetting our appetite for what most people are complaining about is the end of the league and how close it is to the championship. But
he's got some memory recall, isn't he, Tommy? He was referencing games there 10, 15 years ago, and he wasn't referencing that when they won that game. He was talking about individual scores. How old is he now, Tommy Walsh?
34, 35?
No, he's surely older than that. He surely still be playing at that age. Tommy Walsh, Kilkenny is 38.
That's some memory. Even the club saying, boom.
I think most people have that kind of memory except you. You don't remember Tony Yeboah, you don't remember David Beckham, you don't remember Paolo Di Canio. We have to show you pictures.
Well, I'd also like to mention he had a collar and tie. He didn't get the.
It was for us,
it wasn't suit and boot. He's heading out to work.
No,
surely he's on his way out the door.
Normally people respect us, Kenny.
No way he's got into it.
I saw you on TV last week wearing a shirt and tie as well, and I was like,
funny. See this thing I've got on. I wore this down the gym last week. Got to be honest with you, I actually wore it down.
That's the standard we're at.
That's the difference. No way he's got suit and booted for the show tonight.
No, he does.
Fact.
Big 1 month of championship today, by the way.
Right.
Yes, that's the big occasion.
Yeah.
16th of.
So I don't think you're going to be too much into too many games this weekend. Actually, I think the form lines this weekend will be irrelevant in some cases. But that game that he was talking about, definitely. 9:05 here this morning. We're going to talk to Andy Mitten next.